one, and we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the News, where I share with you headlines from my news feed so that we can get a survey of what's going on in the world. And I also share with you sometimes my thoughts and ideas and perspective on the story, the headline, the subject matter in general. But remember, folks, just like the title says, it's not news. It's just my notes on the news. So, I'm Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Like, share, comment, subscribe. We're working on 1,000 charter subscribers. So thank you so much for being part of the Fabulite family. Let us proceed with the notes from my news feed. Hey, happy Sunday, Rowdy Chica. Welcome on. Okay, so we're just getting started right now. Thank you for the light. The military is looking for ways to slow down biological time in order to save wounded soldiers. AI reveals more, as in artificial intelligence, reveals more about Hollywood gender bias. So we know it's some stuff going on. We know it's the same. It's something similar going. Basically, white men are the main actors, like they get things done in Hollywood on TV. Hey, Purple, OG Purple Johnson, they get things done. They're the main actors. Like, not just actors, but actors. They're like acting. They're getting things done. And everybody else is like accessories and just kind of like there. But anyway, they've done some analysis using artificial intelligence in terms of, like, for example, when women are in the room, thank you for the like. When it's just two women in the room or just women in the room, most of the time they're talking about men, Women are very high in being agreeable, getting the agreeable ratings. They analyzed 25,000 characters and over 2,000 scripts between 1930 and 2018. Whatever. It's what we would expect more or less from what I can recall. Okay. Here's the salary of every state representative in the United States. I didn't look at the article, but it looks interesting, and I would be curious to see someone do, hey, Yappa, welcome on. I would be curious to see someone, is that Purple Heart supposed to be close to Black Love? They don't have a black heart. Here's the salary of every, so I would be curious to see someone do some analysis of royalty, yes, royalty, regality, to do some analysis of what happens in state, like, how people are paid statewide in terms of our elected representatives. Are they my elected representatives? I don't know. I'm so conflicted. I'm not really conflicted. I don't believe in them. Outside In, that's the name of something. Star Eddie Falco, the name sounds vaguely familiar, comments on a lack of romantic roles for women over 40. So what's happening, I think, is that South by Southwest is a conference that's going on now. So we're getting yesterday I said S by SW or S by, but anyway, it's a conference that's going on now. So a lot of stories are coming across my newsfeed from different events and different things that people are saying at this conference. So I'm gathering that it's some type of entertainment conference. Hey, welcome on the line. Some of this stuff is connected with that. So he says that, there's a lack of romantic roles for women over 40, and it's such a strange thing. And if you start to pay attention, you'll notice, even when you have men, like men over 40, they have romantic roles, but most of their partners are like in their 20s. Basically, the age of romantic partners stays like, 18, 25 in that range, but the age of the male protagonist is allowed to, men are allowed to age, but women, at least on the screen, are not allowed to age. And then when you do see older women, they don't have no romantic life. They not, they ain't cute. Don't nobody want your old behind. I guess that's the message that's being conveyed. And I always like to see, like, romances and like films with like older people, doing things. And I guess as I've gotten older, I've started to notice, you know, there's a paucity. I never really thought about it. I guess when I was younger, I'm like, hey, I could relate. And now I'm kind of like, well, who am I looking to be in this film? Because none of these roles fit who I am. Hey, Miss Red. I called you Reed yesterday, but it's Red. Okay, companies with more female executives make more money, Bank of America says. So they did some analysis of like the S&P 500, which I guess is their standard in general, and then companies that had, I think, at least 25% women in leadership positions in the company. And it was like, visually it was very obvious. And I imagine it's the same thing as the more variety of perspective you get, the better things are. It's sort of like, when you're cooking, the more subtlety and the more stuff that's one approach. But, the more you kind of add to it, it's like the flavors are deeper and richer and better. And it's not just one note, like I guess every once in a while, one note is cool, but just all the daggone time. So, you get all different perspectives in the mix. It's going to be better. The 8 most successful businesses that got their start on Shark Tank. Now, I used to like to watch Shark Tank because I'm really interested in like the world of venture capitalism. Because at some point I realized, well, when people are very, very, very wealthy, of course, they don't put their money in the bank because, it's just not a good place to keep money. And then some of the best investment is investing in businesses. And so venture capitalists spend their time investing, looking for businesses to invest in. And even if you're not technically a venture capitalist, when you have money sitting around, the best thing for it to be doing is active and working and growing. And, so looking for opportunities to rest your money or spend your money someplace where it's invest your money. So, I like to watch Shark Tank because I'm kind of interested in those folks as venture capitalists. And then the guy, I think his name is Damon. I don't know his last name, but he is one of the venture capitalists, and he started a company called FUBU. I had heard of FUBU, For Us, By Us. And, I always thought us was like for us black people, by us black people. But when I started watching the show, I started to have questions like, well, I don't know, who us is to him. I don't know if his wife is white, but she certainly appears white from what I've seen. So I'm just kind of curious. And, whenever I watch it, like I never get a sense of him having an orientation, toward the black business. I don't know. So I guess that there's like an extra added layer of like curiosity for me about him, because the company, I guess the idea of like For Us, By Us, I'm like, yeah. And now I watch him, I'm like, well, what did it mean? What does it mean? But anyway, I don't watch it as much as, I used to watch it. And then also it's interesting because, there's been a lot of conversation, or I saw some conversation about companies that did go on Shark Tank and did not. Does he still own FUBU? I don't really know very much about him. I didn't even know who he was. It was just like, oh, there's a black guy. And then over time I realized, who he was. Does FUBU still exist? Do people wear FUBU? I never got into it. I remember one guy when I was dating, he was like, you ain't a FUBU girl. And I'm like, okay, I guess. That's all I didn't know he started FUBU. I think he did. Is his name Damien? I got to look him up. But anyway, and so you see, I've seen a couple stories of companies that went on Shark Tank, or folks that went on Shark Tank with ideas, and they were rejected by Shark Tank, but they've gone on to do well. And I feel like if you just have 4 or 5 people in the room, I see FUBU and clearance outlets. If you just have 4 or 5 people in the room, they may not catch that vision, or that vision and those businesses may not connect with them and what they're interested in. But anyway, that's Shark Tank. So, and also seeing the most successful business was like some kind of sponge that I've never heard of. I think that it's probably sold on like the Home Shopping Network, or, there are 2 big shopping networks that you can get on cable. One is called HSN, and I can't remember what the other one is called. But one of the women who's a shark, she might be the only woman, but anyway, no, I think it's more than one. But she she seems to be big in the world of home shopping. So it was a sponge that is, yes, he is pro-black. He believes in black empowerment and finances. Well, I've been curious, so that's good. Maybe I need to like study more, because I don't get that feeling or vibe from him watching it when I do. But the most popular product to come off of the Shark Tank is, according to this article, was like a sponge, and it's like in hot water it's soft, in cold water it's hard. And it's like a clean-off sponge, and it didn't look familiar to me. The name didn't look familiar. I think I looked, it was only supposed to be 8, but I looked at like 3 or 4. None of them seemed to be familiar to me. And that's also Damon Dash. Oh, that's Dame Dash? That's not Damon Dash, is it? Dame Dash as in Beyonce's husband? I don't know. All of these people, I'd be kind of confused about who they are. I hate the idea of gatekeepers, so I know it can be necessary to go through others. The internet has created a way for people to get past if they really figure out what they're doing. Yeah, but I like the idea of people investing in other people's, in people's dreams and like supporting them. And, even if I was reading something on Facebook, somebody was talking about how the Asian companies managed to get so many loans. And the person was like, well, we don't get loans from outside. We do, everybody invests like $10,000 or whatever. And then it circulates around the group, so you get it. And when my first job out of college, I worked at a community development financial institution. But one of the things that we were trying to do was kind of take that model from the Caribbean and Africa. Some people call it susu. We had like a lending circle, but it was like the same idea. People did not necessarily, in our demographic, didn't necessarily have $10,000 to invest. But like if you look at something like Kiva, even $25 or, $100 or $200 or $3,000 can make a big difference when, depending on where people are. And especially if you're able to get something going and then, like flip it into something else. You guess you can live with it as long as the white owners don't take control of black companies. If you can, even if you start, you might like, if you ever play the game Cash Flow, you might not be able to start with, oh my gosh, I have, $20,000 in income a month, and I can save some of that and invest it. You might just be able to save 20 or 40. You have to, Damon Johns. Oh, okay. I have to, okay. Cause I'm like, huh? But if you can, just kind of get in that mindset and building and creating businesses and getting the support, from your community and like the Susu and the lending circle and all of that. So, I kind of think of a venture capitalist, especially the way that they're doing it, because they seem to mentor the people as well as just giving them money. And they seem to it seems to be a situation where people are trying to connect with people who they feel can mentor them and help to develop and grow their business. Because sometimes, you might have a great idea and you might get the money and you might not really have the experience or the connections to like take that money and that idea. And, it's kind of like you might have a seed and you might have some good dirt, but you might not know. You might just put the seed in the dirt and not really know how to water it, how to feed the earth. It's like, it's not, sometimes it's not as easy, so you might need somebody to help okay, this is what we got to do with this dirt. This is how you water it. This is, this is how you do this. Somebody who's an experienced farmer, but okay. So I like the idea of, people building. I like to see people building. Okay. Brooklyn shooting victim dies in his mother's arms. She was in the house with her son. Her other son, I think, was at a party or coming from a party. Hey, Talisa Ray! Yay! Her other son was coming from, I see your point. I guess my general distrust is showing. Is that Kiyosaki's game Cash Flow? Yes, and I don't know why, but I'm like obsessed with Cash Flow. I used to be the Cash Flow person. Like I'd have a monthly Cash Flow game. Let's talk about it. Because I read in The Millionaire Next Door years ago that, kind of one of the things is that and I believe it. You have to talk about stuff. If you're not talking about stuff, if you're not thinking about stuff, if you're not focusing energy into something, yes. If you're not, so that idea from The Millionaire Next Door of, they spend time regularly thinking and talking about money. So I was like, okay, y'all, we gonna cash flow every month. We gonna journal. We gonna talk. The games say that if you meet once a month, then at the end of the month, you gonna get out the rat race. Or who will get out the rat race? I like passive income. I'm all here for it. Especially, that was the other thing that was interesting in the piece about Shark Tank. From what I saw, few of the companies seem to have a community orientation. I'm kind of confused about this whole capitalist concept. Like, there's this idea that you can have like humane capitalism, and I don't know if I believe that, but I guess I would like to believe it. Like I would like to believe that, even if you're not like, oh, I'm a capitalist and I'm going to make all the money. And the companion book, The Millionaire Mind, is also good. I even think it's a little better. I never read The Millionaire Mind. I think I read, I don't know, but it was something. But anyway, But like this idea that, I done lost my whole train of thought, so I wasn't saying nothing. Let me keep going. So, hey, Talisa. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So Brooklyn shooting victim dies in his mother's arms. So she in the house with her child. The other child, he's 24. And then I was kind of confused too. Oh, so he's 24. He's the only one in his friend group that's working. He out at a party with his friends. He got his tax return. So they out partying. They hear gunshots. The mother opens the door because she had heard her son's voice out there. The little boy, shouldn't call him a little boy because he's 24. But I mean, still 24, he like a little boy, especially because that's his mama. Her son inside is like, don't open the door. They just shot. She opens the door and her son, is out there. He's been shot. And he says, I want to see if I can get the words correct. I think it's something like, dang, I don't want to say it wrong, but it just like, when I heard it, it just kind of like, it was just, I don't know the baby's name, but anyway, he look about 14. Y'all probably can't see it good. Look how young he looked. That's a baby at 14. At 24, right? He looks so young. He said, Mom, they shot me. I'm dead. And then he died. His name was Dara Salam Mosley. No. His name was O'Neal Mosley. His mama is Dara Salam Mosley. So, just rest in peace for him. And she thinks that he was robbed. And that was the other thing that I didn't understand. Like, he had his money on him. He had like $3,000 from his tax returns. And I'm like, now, I don't know if people don't have, because I know sometimes when I'm like, well, where's a good place? Like, in the movies, when you try to hide stuff, it's sad. It's very sad. And just, in the movies, when you try to hide stuff, when the people come in, they always know exactly where to go to find your money. They always know exactly where to go to find your gun. They always seem to, and so I'm like, he didn't have no place to hide his money. And she's like, his mother was like, his friends wasn't doing nothing. So she thinks they're the ones that robbed him. And just the idea that to me, the idea that he walking around with his money just on him, I'm like, and I'm distrustful too. I'm not really big on banks. I'm not, I don't, so I don't know. But, that's the baby in Brooklyn. So, prayers out to him and his family and his community. And then in the story, people were like, oh, somebody got shot. And then when they heard it was him, it was kind of like people were surprised. Like it's kind of like, not to say that anybody deserves to get shot and killed, but like I have a family member who is in jail for something that he says that he didn't do, and I actually believe him. And he was out here doing the most before he got caught for something that he didn't do. But this wasn't that kind of kid. And he was young when he got caught too. Young, dumb, whatever. But this wasn't that kind. It was like nobody was like, oh yeah, I could believe he got shot. It was kind of like people were like, he got shot, like, Yeah. I mean, and we never know, when our time is going to come or when somebody else's time is going to come. Um, Missing Spanish boy Gabriel Cruz found dead in car. This little boy was 4 years old. I hadn't heard anything about it, but I guess they had mobilized 4,000 volunteers to, volunteers and employees to try to find them, like kind of like an Amber Alert, or I guess not an Amber Alert, but the whole country was looking for him. He was missing. He was supposed to be going to play with his friend. He never showed up, or he never came back. His parents did a press conference, but apparently he was found in the trunk of the father's companion's car. And I was kind of like, companion as in colleague, companion as in business partners, companion as in like his girlfriend, it appears. And she had said something or done something, and then the police, the cops or whatever were like, we got their eye on her. And so I guess she was, I don't know. But anyway, they found the baby, and at 4, yeah, he was going by himself. And I don't know much about the culture of Spain, but I know I saw this little thing on YouTube about, it's like a TV show that they have in Japan where little kids, like, it's called My First Errand. And little kids, like 4, 5, 6, they go on their first errand because in their culture, it's very common for little kids like to go to school by themselves. Like we take, I started going to school by myself, but my school was like 2 blocks away, and it was all the kids were walking to school. But I was like, I guess 7 or 8, I don't know. But anyway, it's common for them to ride the train together and, on this ride the train, just like I'm going to school, I'm going to preschool, and I'm riding the train to get there because I'm a Japanese child, not an American child. I think I was about 7 or 8 too. But I was 10 when I first rode the bus, and I remember my mother rode the bus with me, and it's like a block to, like, less than a block to where the bus was, and then less than a block to my school. But it was like the first time she like rode the bus with me and to make sure I knew where to get off and get on, and it was like, but there were a whole bunch of kids. But so on this TV show, and then the people are like, well, what if he can't, what if the child can't figure out how to run the errand, like go to the store and get some bread? And the parents are like, well, they better figure it out because they gonna be out here. And these are like little bitty kids, but the culture is different. So I don't know if Spanish culture is like that, where, they're going to their friend's house. Because when I was little, I don't know about 4, but like, we played outside. Didn't nobody know where we were until we came in when it got dark. We could have been anywhere doing anything, riding bikes, skating, yeah, definitely a different culture. But today, I don't think people really, do that. But anyway, he's been found in a car. I was late getting there. I couldn't find my razor and shaving cream. Yappa said the first time that he went to school, he was late getting there because he couldn't find his razor and his shaving cream. Okay, Iran plane crash. Turkish private jet catches fire, and 14 people made their transition. And I was like, didn't we just hear about some people? See you later, Rowdy Chica. Study well, girl. Didn't we just hear about some people dying in Iran in a plane crash, or wasn't in a plane crash? And sure enough, there were 68 people. It was in the last couple of weeks. It said so in this article. So I don't know if these are like, is it like the, what is it called? The pyramid, like the Bermuda Triangle. Is it like the Bermuda Triangle and a lot of planes crash there? Or are they just crashing accidentally, or somebody shooting them down? Like, what's going on? It sounds kind of, I don't know. I don't know enough about aviation to know how common crashes are in that area. But, to me, I'm like, what's going on? We need to investigate. Why director Julia Hart wanted Google Mbatha Raw for Fast Color. I'm not familiar with Fast Color. Again, we're talking about this South by Southwest conference, so this is something coming off of here. But I think that she was in this movie called Belle that I saw. I think she was the star of it. She's a really good actress. I think she's like mixed race, biracial, or whatever, and like British, or I don't know. But and I've seen her in other stuff, But anyway, this director wanted her for fast color. I'm trying to see if I can like track these things that are coming that aren't here yet. So fast color, I never heard of it. But anyway, the Air Force is preparing to fight in space in a matter of years. In space, not in like in outer space, not inner space. That's what I think they mean. So why? Like, what's not being said that the Air Force is preparing to be fighting in outer space? A shadowy and controversial secret club meets in the California woods every year, and at least 5 U.S. presidents were members. Bohemian Grove Club, never heard of it. I know at the school that I went to, there were these, they were called like the Shechems or something, and people would get tapped to be members. I never got tapped, but, and I don't think for the most part they tapped, black women, but it was like a secret society that was like operating right on the campus. And, a lot of people I heard, CEOs and like bigwigs were, had been a part of it and continue to be a part of it. And I feel like this one woman I know, a black woman, she was from Bermuda, a Bermudian woman that I know, black woman, whatever. I think she got tapped, but I don't know. How Uber's top lawyer negotiated a spectacular severance deal on her way out the door by asking Travis Kalanick for about $100 million. I know that Uber for a second, they were like all over the place, having all over the news, having all kinds of trouble. I haven't heard a lot about them here recently, except there was the research being done about the fact that on average, the people are making $337, and they retracted that study. But anyway, so I don't know what's going on with Uber. But I think there's something earlier I read where it said that she was, like, when she left, there was so much chaos and confusion that it was almost like nobody hardly noticed her leaving, or it didn't really get big press. Jules Santana, who I never heard of until like Love and Hip Hop something. I think there was this one woman, I can't think of her name, but I think she was with Jules, and she was like really jealous and like cuckoo crazy. Like, dang, I can kind of see her in my head. Or she seemed really jealous and cuckoo crazy to me. But, I don't know. They be playing the role for the TV. Jules Santana, so that's why I know his name. I think this is her, Jules. Flees Newark Airport after TSA finds his gun. So what happened? They were like going through the stuff, and then they're like, it's a gun. And then he just took off running through the airport. Like, how he fleeing the airport? By the time you get to the point where they checking you kind of deep in, like, I don't know what happened. But anyway, I was like, oh, Jules Santana. So I don't know. Eastern Ghouta, Mattis warns Syria over weaponized gas. Child, right. Mm-hmm. So weaponized gas, when I first started hearing about this chlorine bomb, I was like, I don't get it. Did they take bleach? And as if they didn't know about Jules Santana? I was like, a weaponized bomb, like, a chlorine bomb, like they take bleach and throw it at people. I don't understand, but it's some sort of gas. And that's what they're talking about, this weaponized gas that's been allegedly being released in Eastern Ghouta. And I'm still like, I'm just really, this whole Syria, Ghouta, Putin thing is just, I don't understand what's going on. Oh, but this is like, I don't know if I have anything in the newsfeed today about Catalonia. Yes, was he checked in? I don't know. I have to look at the article. I think they said at TSA, so I don't know. I mean, maybe they found it in his luggage. But tonight is an episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta. They're in Spain. And we've been talking a little bit about, on notes on the newsfeed, about Catalonia and them trying to like secede from the Spanish Union or whatever, and them being independent, semi-independent, and now they're leaders. Some of them are in somewhere in Europe, where they're safe, and then some of their leaders are in jail in Spain. And just the other day we were talking about the fact that one leader got elected, but he in jail, and they like, we not letting you out of jail to serve. But the women on Real Housewives of Atlanta, I think I saw in the preview, they like, it's Catalonian flags and stuff. And they're like, is it safe? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like Notes on the News feed meets reality TV. Now, I'm not going to know what's going on in Catalonia, after that. But I'm just like, I'll be watching extra close because I guess, they're I don't know. Over 2,500 Burundi refugees in Congo seek shelter in Rwanda. I don't know anything about what's going on with that. 4 problematic trends I see on body positive Instagrams. So, people try to, like, I have this one woman who I know in the Detroit area who's like Muslim. She wears her hair covered a lot of times. She's like very, very voluptuous. She wears like, she's black, she's brown, black, she's black identified, but like, a black woman, and she, like, I like to share her photos because it's kind of like I don't really see people like her, so I just think it's interesting. But, so I guess she would be like body positive, but I think it's like, I like my timeline to be full of like, black folks and, whatever. I don't know. I'm just like, yay. But they're saying a lot of the body positive, be positive, be happy, that a lot of the people are white women, first of all, and not like very people. And then second of all, it'll be like skinny people who, like if you bend over, I can grab a fat roll. But in general, if I stand up, I don't really have a fat roll. But they'll like bend over and be like, I have fat rolls too, but be body positive. Just because you have fat rolls doesn't mean you're fat. And then the article is like, well, if you're fat, what? You can't be positive and happy? I mean, what? So anyway, they're just talking about some of the problematic issues with, the body positive stuff on Instagram. I'm not on Instagram, so I don't know. Law-abiding Canadians are turning into high-priced cheese smugglers. So there are certain cheeses, I guess it's getting expensive to get, and they're getting cheese from the United States, like illegally. They're not supposed to be getting the cheese. So these, law-abiding Canadian citizens are being forced to get cheese from the U.S. And I'm like, I try to get, like, when I was like really into like cheese and stuff, or, I try to get cheese that is not like just like Kraft and like the regular stuff, because I figure it's so many chemicals and BS in the cows and hormones and like how they treat them, and then they be having infections, and then that's in your cheese and your milk, and I'm like, ugh. So I figure Canada is more regulated than the U.S. So like when I would look and see where the cheese is from, if it was from Canada, I'd be more likely to get it because I figure it's like a better quality product. So I just want to say to all you Canadians who are desperate for cheese, just maybe reduce your cheese intake and your dairy intake in general. And I just would not recommend, I don't know, but I think y'all are more regulated than us. Stay away from American cheese. And don't break the law. Rwanda, Seventh-day Adventist churchgoers killed by lightning. So they at church and it was a lightning strike. And some people were killed. I've got to go get the kid. I'll be back, though. I love NOTNews. See you later, Talisa Ray. That was just like a crazy story to me. And then I wondered, like, how like sometimes people hear like, well, the reason that Haiti got hit by an earthquake. Was it an earthquake in Haiti? The reason the Haitians have such a hard time is because of all of that voodoo. If they would get right with God, they wouldn't be having those problems. I think the guy who just died, that everybody was like, oh, he was a great preacher. I think he was one of them people out there talking about, Haitians, and, they basically got what they deserve. So I'm like, are the people in Rwanda saying that about the Seventh-day Adventists? Now when Christians get killed, those same people don't necessarily. But anyway, yeah, so that was kind of weird. Yeah, that's odd. I don't necessarily connect anything to it, but being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah, that's what I would guess, but I don't know. Maybe, maybe the Lord struck them down. I don't know. I don't even want to joke about that because those are people who made their transition and, I don't know. So rest in peace to the people. And like we've been talking about, when the time comes, we got to go, and it may come suddenly and unexpectedly. Like Uranus, you just don't know or like the tower. You know, you just never know. UN, after a history of racial terrorism, the U.S. owes black people reparations. And I was kind of like, isn't this an old story? And I clicked, it's coming off the grill, and I clicked on it. And I think it is an old story, but I couldn't tell from the way it was written that it was an old story. I couldn't tell from the date. But what I could tell was they had a link to an article, and the article was like from 2016, 2015, whatever. But it's still true. Like, you know, we were talking the other day about the Kerner report, which I've never read, but, you know, during the civil rights movement, they did research to see, you know, how is it for the black people in America? And the Kerner report, I think, was like, it's not good. And somebody was saying the other day, or there was an article the other day saying the stuff that in the Kerner report, we could just pull that baby out right now, and the research has been done. Ain't nothing changed. Some of it has probably gotten worse. But anyway, so I don't know if the Rio was like publishing that like it's still the same situation. Because there was even in the article, there was even conversation about police state violence, which again is not new. That's been going on, you know, since they were called the slave patrol, the paterolas. You know, that's what they do. NASA wants to change the way we think about the habitable zone. So I guess the habitable zone is like if a planet has water, then that's a place where, you know, we could go. See, we were just talking earlier about the Air Force fighting in space. And now we're talking about NASA wanting to change the way that we think about a habitable zone. You see where I'm going here? You see what's going on? So instead of just thinking, oh, well, the planet has to have water, or a certain type of water, they're looking at other places, like expand your consciousness of, you know, where we could evacuate to when we, you know, finish jacking up Mother Earth, you know, where we gonna go, you know. So anyway, they doing the research and continuing their planning, I guess. China rewrote its constitution to officially abolish term limits, granting Xi Jinping lifelong rule. So we've been seeing the stories, you know, as it's come up, as, you know, as it was about to be voted on. Now it's been voted on. So, I guess it's kind of interesting, this idea that you think, oh, well, you know, people vote, they have term limits. So, you know, it's like against the law for him to just serve for life. And it's kind of like, it's they rules, they game. He just changed the law so he can serve for life. He can do what he want to do. I don't care nothing about no law. I wrote this law and I can change it if I want to. How about that? That's what he's saying, or me and my people. I think that the experiments with CER are an attempt to punch through to another dimension as possible escape. Okay, moving on. I don't know anything about CERN. CERN. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, probably. You know, in the movies, that's how it always is. The regular folks, we be like, oh, outer space, in the super collider, and the you know, and the other people, you know, they have a plan, and when this stuff hit the fan, they go on with their plan, and the rest of us are like, oh no, alien, you know, whatever. We don't, you know, we ain't right. Okay. Better sex starts with better sleep. And I'm like, did they have the headline reversed? Like, was it supposed to be better sleep starts with better sex? But they say, no, it's all connected. You know, if you want to have better sex, you better sleep better. And, you know, it's a loop. That's what I think they're trying to say. So, you know, take good care of yourself. Colombia election. Former FARC rebels face first ballot. It seems like when I was like in college and stuff, there was like a lot of stuff going on in Central and South America. So this FARC seems kind of familiar to me, but I couldn't quite tease out what it was and what was going on. But no wonder I have insomnia. This wooden home can withstand a Category 3 hurricane and be assembled in 2 days. That's just the idea. And it's not a small home. Just the idea that you could assemble it in 2 days is rather, you know, amazing. And it's sturdy enough, strong enough to withstand a Category 3. I mean, that's not the greatest hurricane, but still, this is what it looks like. Ooh, The real reason, oh, well, look, we were talking about Uber before. The real reason a top Uber executive abruptly left shows how much mistrust and fighting there really was behind the scenes. That actually looks pretty nice. I was kind of surprised too, because it seemed like if you build it in 2 days and it's sturdy, but it looked, I was like, so there was a bunch of infighting and mess and confusion. Looks bigger than a tiny house. Yeah, I don't think it is a tiny house. That story was coming off of Google, and the title was "This Wooden Home Can Withstand a Category 3 Hurricane and Be Assembled in 2 Days." So if you want to do further research or look it up or whatever, I don't know. So in Uber, there's a whole bunch of mess and confusion and infighting behind the scenes. So I don't know how much I care about that. Black people are the most religious people in America, but what are they getting out of it? That's coming off of Atlanta Black Star. I don't think I read the article. I just thought it was interesting that the conversation was there. And I might have skimmed it because it seemed like it said, in general, 80% of the people are religious, but 87% of the black people are religious. The black people, like my black friends. But now I can't remember, so I don't know. History of black children and adoption in the United States. So for those of you who watch This Is Us, there was a little bit of a conversation about that black boy or a little bit of exploration about that black boy being adopted by a white family. Sterling K. Brown's character when he was a little boy. And then there was a black judge that was like, y'all can't help this child to develop and grow. And he ended up recusing himself. And then that was a black man judge. And then a black woman judge was like, hey, you want to take the baby? Take the baby. So anyway, I don't know what the history, this is coming off of Black Then, so I didn't read the essay. 5 women, 5 countries, 5 babies. So I think it's like an essay. It might be a photojournalistic essay, just kind of like exploring childbirth and the experience of motherhood. Lots of that on television over the years. Different strokes in Webster. Right. Now, I remember that was probably when I was when I was a kid, I used to watch Different Strokes in Webster, and I love them. Especially Different Strokes. Webster, I'm like, I was like, now what? They just got a whole nother short little black kid, and like, why the little boy got to be short and small? Like, what's really going on? Like, I think something in me was like, what's going on? Like, what message are you trying to portray? And then, but anyway, yeah. And that's the whole, the rescuation, of the black folks by the white folks, because, we need, them to rescue us. Why ABC pulled controversial national anthem protest episode of Blackish. So I think we were talking yesterday that an episode of Blackish had been pulled, and it's the national anthem protest episode. So I don't know, because it seems like, it seemed like they push the envelope, or they talk about stuff pretty like I don't know. I don't watch it like every, all the time. I've probably watched only 5 or 6 episodes, but there was one episode where the main character went to get on the elevator, and it was like a little white girl by herself. And he like, I'm not getting on this elevator with this little white girl. And I just thought I was like, wow, they're talking about that on like a sitcom on like mainstream TV. It was like really interesting to me. So I just thought, just like Get Out, they do what they want to, we just out here saying what we want to say. But no, whatever they was trying to say on the national anthem protest episode of Blackish, they couldn't come to no agreement. And so they like, you're not putting that on our TV, on our network. So yeah. And this article says why. But I think when I looked at it, it didn't say why. The headline says why, but I don't think it said why. They were concerned that the advertisers would pull out. Well, I mean, Fukushima's long road to recovery. Wasn't I just saying I don't know what Fukushima was the other day? But anyway, Fukushima was there was an earthquake, and there was a nuclear plant, and the earthquake kind of stimulated something with the plant, and so some nuclear energy, vibration, mess, and confusion was released. It was released to it. You know, it was no longer contained. It was released. And so, you know, it's like they talking about their long road to recovery. So I don't know if what is it, my African home sister, dang, I don't know why I can't think of the woman's name, but anyway, I don't know, I'm like, was she talking about Fukushima? Because I feel like I just said the other day, I don't really know what Fukushima was, but anyway, maybe it's a whole nother Japanese word, and I'm like, all these Japanese words sound the same to me. Fukushima, yes, major story, the Pacific Ocean is dead because of it. It's still leaking. Your radical home sister, so you can check out her channel. So anyway, it's funny because yeah, she's actually on live talking about it right now. All right, so I'll be finished in a second, I guess. Fukushima. FBI arrests CEO of company selling custom Blackberries to gangs. But I'm not a gang member. I mean, I just got a Blackberry. It's not a custom Blackberry. But anyway, I don't know what's going on in Blackberry world. A tiny village in Pennsylvania hosted a bizarre mass marriage blessing ceremony where couples raised their AR-15s and wore crowns made of bullets. "10 weird wedding registry gifts newlyweds have actually asked for," and some of it was wow. This is welcome to your America. Shaking my head too. 10 weird, so people put stuff on like, I want a hatchet on their wedding registry, or they put stuff like, I want $200 a plate china on my registry, you know. And I feel like if it's your wedding registry, I think you should put anything on there that you want to put on there. And then if I'm going to buy the gift, I can decide what to get you, you know. And then people were upset because somebody had a registry where you could help them pay for a trip, like a $10,000 trip, and the people were offended by that. And then somebody was offended because somebody had on their registry like toilet tissue, you know, because, you know. And then one person said that they put like Doritos on their registry, and they're like, we got a 10-year supply. I'm like, you eating 10-year-old? But anyway, so yeah, you know, but my position is, you put anything on there, I'm not going to be upset or offended. I may not get you, you know, I may not, you know, but yeah. 10 subtle signs you're smarter than you think you are. I think we loop back to where we started, where we left off yesterday, because I think that's where we started yesterday, because I think I said one subtle sign is that you watch not news. Remember? It was so funny yesterday. Y'all should have been there. But anyway, that's all I got. Today is the best day ever, so I guess we gonna go check out the live over at Radical Home Sister. Is that what it is? I don't know why I'm having, but anyway. Yeah, so that's what I got. Today is the best day ever. Thank you so much for clicking on the video and sticking around to see how we get from opening to closing. Love and respect. Happiness, joy, all of that other good stuff. So be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Peace.